When people hear the name Medusa, most imagine a monster. Snakes for hair, stone eyes, a creature so terrifying that one look could kill you. But honestly, the deeper you go into Greek mythology, the more disturbing this story becomes. Because Medusa wasn't originally born a monster. And depending on which version of the myth you read, she may have never been the villain at all. Today, we're diving into the real story of Medusa. And trust me, this gets dark fast. Before Medusa became one of the most recognizable monsters in mythology, she was human. Many versions of the myth describe her as incredibly beautiful. And honestly, Greek mythology loves turning beauty into suffering. Medusa was one of the 3 Gorgons. But unlike her sisters, she was mortal, which already made her vulnerable. Because in Greek mythology, mortals were basically at the mercy of the gods. And the gods? Yeah, they were not emotionally stable. Some stories describe Medusa as a priestess serving Athena, the goddess of wisdom, strategy, discipline. Then Poseidon enters the story, god of the sea, storms, earthquakes, and chaos. According to one version of the myth, Poseidon assaulted Medusa inside Athena's temple. And somehow, Medusa became the one punished. Athena cursed her. Her hair transformed into snakes. Her appearance became horrifying. And anyone who looked directly at her turned to stone. Which honestly makes the whole story feel incredibly tragic. Because instead of receiving justice, she became isolated. No normal life. No human connection. No one could even look at her anymore. That's horrifying in a completely different way. One reason Medusa's story became so popular again online is because modern audiences read mythology differently now, especially Gen Z. People hear this story and immediately question the power dynamics. A powerful god harms a mortal. The mortal gets punished, and society fears her afterward. Yeah, people are going to talk about that a lot. That's why modern interpretations often portray Medusa less like a monster and more like a victim transformed by trauma. And honestly, that interpretation emotionally makes sense, because Greek mythology constantly shows gods acting emotionally and unfairly. Humans suffered because divine beings felt angry, jealous, embarrassed, offended. And Medusa's curse feels less like justice and more like abandonment. What makes her story so powerful is that she's terrifying and tragic at the same time. Her gaze turns people to stone, but emotionally, her story is about isolation, fear, loneliness, transformation. And that's probably why people still connect with her thousands of years later. Then enters Perseus, the classic Greek hero. Perseus is sent on a mission to kill Medusa and bring back her head, which honestly sounds impossible, because looking directly at her instantly turns people to stone. So, naturally, the gods help him. Athena gives him a polished shield, Hermes gives him weapons. Other magical items help him survive. And honestly, the fact that multiple gods had to help one man defeat Medusa says a lot about how powerful she really was. Perseus approaches carefully, not looking directly at her, only through the reflection of the shield. And eventually, he kills her. But Greek mythology somehow makes this story even stranger. Because after Medusa dies, Pegasus is born from her blood. Yes, the Pegasus, the flying horse. Greek mythology really said, let's make this even more chaotic. And Medusa's story still doesn't end there. Even after death, her head remains powerful. Perseus uses it like a weapon, turning enemies into stone. And eventually, Athena herself uses Medusa's image on her shield, which feels deeply symbolic. The goddess who cursed her still carried her image afterward. To some people, she's a monster. To others, she's a victim. To others, she represents survival, rage, power, protection. So was Medusa truly evil? Maybe. But maybe the more disturbing question is, who made her that way? Because the older you get, the less this myth feels like a simple story about a snake-haired monster, and the more it feels like a story about power, punishment, and losing your humanity, which is probably why people are still talking about Medusa thousands of years later. Not because she was terrifying, but because deep down, her story feels unfair. And honestly, that might be the scariest part. Subscribe to Lore Spillr for more dark mythology, disturbing legends, and stories that get stranger the deeper you look.